And we are live. So thank you guys so much for joining us once again. We really appreciate you guys taking your time out of the day and speaking with us. Um, so just right off the bat, how's the overall season been going for you guys so far?
I'd say it's been going pretty well. We've qualified to the regional championships so far, and we have decided to go with a full redesign of a robot. So we're excited to see how that's gonna work out for us.
Very cool, very cool. Like what have you guys been scoring so far in all of your matches? Like pretty high points or
Honestly, we've been averaging around at least on our first robot. Like our first robot, we tried to do a spindex robot, a spindexer, and our spindexer proved to be at least not as fast as we would want it to. So we were averaging around 120 point games solo, right? But obviously, with our new robot, we plan to increase that up to like 200 per game solo.
Yeah,
Good
that,
attempt.
that's the goal.
wow, that is extremely impressive. How's like your out on the outreach side? Like how have you guys been, maintaining your, your connection with the community and all that?
Yeah. So, Vijay, would you like to add on?
Yeah, sure. So for the outreach side, we've been taking several initiatives to like help our teams in our local community by hosting. I mean, like not like other than local, we've been actually also doing international by hosting this thing called a GFIC conference, which stands for Global First Inclusivity Conference, where we help out several rookie teams. So we reach out to teams like internationally, and then we have those teams help out rookie teams that are struggling to um like be like good in the decode season. So that's one thing we've been doing.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
And I'd say a big emphasis for us as a team is to try and make an impact in trying to introduce new people to first, right? Because I feel like so many people they haven't seen first yet, and because they haven't seen first yet, they're missing out on such a big things that could be so impactful for them, right? So a big part of our like whole motto or a whole outreach plan is to try and get more and more people involved. So we do this through like local, like especially with lots of local events, right? We try to maximize on having library conferences. We have an event in which we go to schools, like we're able to directly go to the school and we're able to talk to the kids there in like an assembly sort of way. And then from there, we tell them like to go to the FTC like First Inspire website and to see how where they can locate new teams or if they can make their own team and stuff like that. And we offer mentorship to these new teams. So they're able to not only create a new team, but they're actually able to perform properly and be successful in the game.
Yeah, that's I think it's a really important, aspect to first as well as, bringing people in through that way and not just, finding new teams, but also starting new teams in the first program.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
like,
And additionally, oh yeah,
no,
sorry.
you're good, you're good. Keep going.
Yeah, we also like make sure we are like connected to the community by going to like any we went to something called Open Sauce lately. Like we make sure that we're just like connected to our community as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. So one thing I did forget to do at the start of this live stream was kind of introduce like you guys and introduce Zip Ties. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, so I'm Tage. I'm the mechanical and CAD captain of Ink and Metal. I kind of oversee the design process and the build process.
I'm DJ. I am like a code member and outreach miner in Incomedo.
So moving on to like Zip Ties, my name's Anish. I'm the outreach lead on Team Zip Ties.
And hi, my name is Arnav. I'm the captain and build leader of Z.I.P Ties.
So yeah, I just completely forgot about introductions beforehand as well, guys. So sorry about that. But like you guys were saying, like there is like a really big aspect of making that connection with your community, and I think that's definitely something we try to focus on as well. Is developing that aspect not just like in schools, but also like throughout the community with industry professionals, as well as like people who don't really get to experience robotics on a day-to-day basis. So like kind of spreading that reach to various communities locally, internationally, and making that impact and spreading the word of first. I think that's really key idea,
Yeah.
key point. Um,
Yeah.
do you guys have any questions for us so we can answer for you guys?
Yeah, you guys are sorry. You guys compete in which region specifically again? You guys, I know you guys are in
Space
East.
Coast. Yeah, Space
Okay.
Coast region of Florida.
Okay.
Okay. So, what initiatives do you guys take for your reach?
So I think, for our reach, like we said, it's a very big impact to, connect with the community. So like, we've done a bunch of, starting like, new first programs for different schools as well as, within the community, making sure that first is known and becoming that big ambassador first and, representing what first is all about. Just, showcasing what we do as an FTC team, connecting it back into, how like Lego League works or how FRC works, making sure like all levels of first are interconnected and really showing that off to, our community.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. That actually reminds me, what do you guys think of the new awards? Because, they split up Motivate into now Reach and Sustain, and then there's obviously Connect. So, like, what are your guys' takes on that?
I mean, I think the whole like part is like the whole process this year is very different compared to last year itself, right? Like it's all based off points right now. So last year, the awards, like at least for like the awards, you would want to hit every criteria if you wanted to go for Inspire, right? You would want to hit the criteria of every single award, like Motivate, All Connect, and all of them. But this year it's kind of different in which you want like you have to strategically see what awards you need to get for advancement points and such like that. So the fact that that it's been split up gives us an opportunity to earn like separate points, right? Because there's 15 points for that award and 15 points for this award. So it kind of it gives more teams an opportunity to advance or get more advancement points. So I think it's an overall positive impact for the community in itself because more teams have the opportunity to get advancement points. In which last year, if you didn't get Inspire, your awards just like your awards were there, but they didn't really contribute to anything other than showing what you had or like what you tried to do.
Yeah, I think last year it leaned more towards if your robot was better or if your outreach was better. But I think today, I mean, this year there's a better balance.
I definitely agree. There's, like that award system definitely like allows more teams to advance, especially with, the new system of not the new system, but like the new amount of teams attending Worlds. They expanded,
Yeah,
by like 80% this year.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with like, that award system definitely allows more teams to advance. But I also think that there's a lot of overlap between the awards. Like a lot of the stuff in Reach, Sustain, and Connect all kind of like, relate to one another. And I think that's like a really big thing that, teams will have to take a look at and figure out like will what event will fall in what award
yeah.
category.
I think a big thing for us is like when we're ideating, like we make an event specifically for like Reach or something, but like it's more of a connect event than it is like Reach. So for us, at least when we're trying to like go through the whole ideating process, we try to emphasize on seeing which keywords are exist inside of the criteria itself, right? So like reaching out, like which is introducing new FTC members. Introducing, we would see as make new teams or bring people into existing teams. So we would kind of emphasize that fact, and we find unique ways to do that, right? Because creating FTC teams, we've seen that to be very common, and it's kind of gotten like overused in a way, right? It's of course it's great. It's great for the community, but I feel like there's always a better way or a more fun, exciting way to introduce that. So we try to do that through like community events like we said before. Like we went to Open Sauce, that was a great event. We were able to talk to several teams there. And because like it was a very widespread event, we included celebrities, many newcomers that weren't introduced with first robotics, but they were like interested in robotics, they were able to join. And we were able to talk to like a bunch of them and introduce them to first. So I think having a unique approach to introducing people is one of the most like important criteria, at least for us.
I think that's a really good take on it because for us at least like we're trying to figure out ways to differentiate ourselves from other teams and figuring
Yeah,
out a way to bring in people into first because I feel like that's one thing that I feel like was removed from Motivate is your impact in the community and more so for Reach is now becoming an ambassador first expanding
yeah.
through the first program. So I think it is really like, really unique to kind of figure out a way to m bring people into first, but in a new way. Not like the
Yeah,
same typical ways of, going to STEM nights and whatnot, but, expanding that to a bigger idea. Um,
yeah.
and that kind of leads me to my next question. Like, how do you guys, approach new ideas for outreach? Like, I know you mentioned like, looking at the criteria, but are there any additional ways you guys look for, new outreach ideas?
Yeah, Viju,
We
how
yeah. So we practically have like every few weeks, we let our like team members, like think of ideas that come under the categories, and then we ultimately have like a ideation meeting where everyone just presents their ideas, everyone critiques their ideas, and then yeah, and then we just settle on one final idea, or like yeah. So yeah, through process of elimination, we settle on an idea, and then we start building on it in the next few weeks, and then we execute the event.
yeah.
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 A big emphasis on this, at least like our outreach leads, of course. So what they try to do, they do like they ask for us to read through the criteria, and then they after that they just like send out a summary of each criteria so we know what event is supposed to like hit which spot should each event is supposed to hit. And then from there we all on a big Google Doc, every single one of our members, we type two ideas for an event that reaches this, along with which aspects are unique. And we have like a what, how, and why section. So what the event is, how it works, and why it has an impact, right? So having these three criteria kind of like helps simplify it into like very it's very like it's very simple to read, very simple to understand. So and we also apply the same rule into our actual portfolio itself. So the judges know what the event is, like how it works and why it works. So this is very like simple to read and understand too. And we take the same process into our ideation, where we hit each spot, and we don't really use design matrices because we realized that I feel like it's not like a technical item in which you can't properly gauge how effective something could be if it's a future event. So we try to just have meetings in which everybody like plays devil's advocate with each other's event, right? Saying, is this realistic? What are the downsides of this? Can something bad come out of it? And we go through every single negative part. Like, unfortunately, we have to be pessimistic when it comes to events, see how realistic and how like
Yeah.
like how much of an impact it would realistically make and the realisticness of it. And from there we have a 2 week trial period in which you actually try the event out. If it seems to be likely or realistic, we just go full effort with it. We assign all our members to some sort of contacting or some sort of impact to this, or else we decide to move on to another event.
That's actually like a solid idea. Well, that's like a really good process, and that's, something that I feel like is a very big thing that, rookie teams should, take on, is kind of figure
Yeah,
out that way of, how to expand your outreach in a way that you're not timing yourself out, but you're also, engaging your community. Like that is like extremely solid. And I think you guys that's an amazing idea, amazing plan that you guys have. Um, yeah. I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about your conference that you guys are doing. I know you guys like reached out to us a little bit and have reached out to a bunch of other teams. So, how's that conference going? Because I know it's happening next week on January 10th. So, if you want to walk me through that.
oh yeah, Vijay.
Yeah. So we just have like a couple, like a bunch of teams signed up. We usually get everyone in on just reaching out to a lot of teams that they know or they, like they want to meet. And then yeah, so we just have like a bunch of teams signed up, and we're scheduled to have that conference next week. And we hope to have every team like give like little presentations on what aspects of first, and what they know, like what unique things they know that they want to teach to rookie teams, which they feel like it will improve their team in general. And after the GFIC conference, it won't just end there. So those teams are gonna go, like we're gonna assign rookie teams to each of these teams, and we're gonna have the teams that specialize in their category. It could be anything. It could be design, CAD, code, and they could teach those few rookie teams like those like special areas and like how they should improve, and like pretty much mentor them in those categories. So we hope to like reach like several teams using this conference and improve the competitiveness of the rookie teams around the world through
I
So
think
this.
that's yeah.
I actually have a question about like what you asked. So are you talking like more about the logistics of the event or like the event itself? Because I think Vijay covered the
I think
like
just
event itself.
overall, but also like I am kind of interested like what goes into planning that because I know it's a big event with a lot of teams. So like how do you guys go about planning it?
So at least for the planning method, like or the planning, like the whole planning process. So we initially, like again in one of our outreach meetings, we decide what impacts or what things we want to do this year. And I think a big part for us, at least when it comes to the GFIC conference, we try to make the conference as good as possible, like as helpful as possible. And then from there, we try to fit it so it fits, like, so it hits all of the criteria rather than trying to do an event purely just from looking at the criteria. For GFIC, we just try to make the event as great as possible and then fit it to meet the criteria or phrase it in which, in a way so it hits the criteria, right? So that's a big thing for us this year. And as Vijay said, we wanted to do kind of like a mentorship system this year. So we had a whole contacting spreadsheet, right? So we have a row in which who did it, like which team member did it. Like we have a drop down menu on each of the places, and we say which team member did it, the next slot, the team number, their response to coming to the conference, and are they willing to be a mentor and stuff like that. So we have a few roles like this, and we have weekly contacting tasks of about 15 teams, right? So it's not too much. You can do it in around, if you want to do it all at once, you could do it within like 2 hours. But if you also want to spread it out, you can spread it out. So it's like it's not too much. And then from there we check out the responses. We'd say like we'd also add which through which like software, what do we contact through, like is it email, Instagram, and stuff like this. And we have this large spreadsheet, and that basically helps us to plan all the logistics of inviting teams in. And for the overall like which teams are mentoring, stuff like that, we just talk to them directly, or we just talk to them about like what they're interested in, what they're great at, and we just invite them to mentor.
That
Yeah, as
is
far as
yeah. No,
yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, as far as the management goes, we have pretty much everyone in on this, like in our team. We have like a maxed out team of like 15 people. So we have everyone in on like, like messaging teams back and like keeping on like being careful to not leave anyone on red or anything. And yeah.
Yeah, that's like really like interesting. Because it's a huge conference from like being invited and everything like that. And we are super excited to present as well. We're like started our presentation material and whatnot. But I think that's a really cool idea. Especially with that mentorship program and allowing like rookie teams to get that experience that they may not get anywhere else and allow them to also learn from veteran teams who've been doing this for a long time and gain their own skills and knowledge and allow them to sustain for a longer time as well. I think that's really cool. So there is one question that just came through the YouTube chat, and it's what's your thought on more teams in worlds and more divisions there? Because they've increased the number to 336 teams, and they're adding two more divisions. So what's your guys' thoughts, and then we'll share our thoughts after that.
So obviously it's gonna be way more competitive. Actually, it's not going to be as competitive to get to Worlds, but I think like there's like so many good robots this year because all of those rookie teams have learned so much. And if there's 336 teams, it'll be like a little bit. It's still going to be the same competitiveness to win the divisions, and it's going to be even harder to like actually win. So yeah, that's practically my thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, me personally, I'm gonna be honest, I love it. Like, I think it's an amazing opportunity for teams to even go to the first championship, because I feel like that's such a crazy experience. Like, me personally, my team has not, like, at least me, I have not gone, but my older like team members, like, they have gone like from like a few years ago from our team, and they said it was an amazing experience. And I feel like that experience in itself should be shared with everyone. And the fact that there's more slots allows for more teams to even enter in the first place, which is just great. And additionally, we have Additionally, we have the opportunity to what is it, compete more, right? Because there's more divisions, that means there's more competitions and more games. And the fact that there are more games makes it so exciting. You have your teammate, like it's such a fun like environment, right? You have your teammates in the pits, they're like putting all the effort in for like presenting to the judges, answering the judges' questions, they're putting in a great effort. And then we have the drive team, they're scared, they're like nervous, and it's
And there's like a massive audience
Hmm.
yeah,
at
it's
Worlds as well.
Yeah,
I feel like it's an amazing environment to be in, and the fact that it's being broadened and like open to more people is just it's amazing.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, I think Arnav is gonna say something about this one.
Yeah. First of all, my first question is like, what state are you guys from?
Oh,
From
we're from
California.
we come
California. Okay, yeah.
we're in
So
North.
I know at least in Florida, for the past couple years, we've had around like 4 to 5 bids, and that number jumped to like 9 now.
Yeah,
So what's interesting to me is like, yeah, there's I mean, it's always great to have more teams to compete against, and I think, like you said before, just the opportunity of going to Worlds is amazing, but it's interesting to see how the competitive level at states will change, or even at Worlds, as more teams come, because with the new bids for each state, like going from 5 to 9 is a pretty significant jump.
yeah,
Um,
Same for us. We went from like I think 5 to 10.
yeah.
yeah, see, like that's a massive jump. So it's interesting to see like what teams will do at the state level or at the the regional level when it comes to the competitions because of the new bids, and sort of see how that changes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
purely because of the fact that there are more slots, I think the robots are going to be better this year because teams are going to be realizing, oh wait, we might actually have a chance this year. 'Cause I think
Hmm.
at least in the past seasons, teams were just kind of like they stop putting less effort in once they see that, oh, it's only 5 spots. What's the realisticness that we're even going to qualify out of 5 spots? But out of like 10 spots, they're like, wait, we actually might have a chance. I feel
Yeah,
like because of that, it encourages such competition. And I think the competition, at least like states or the regional championship, it's going to be so much harder than it was before. But because there's more slots, it's kind of even out. The robots are going to be better, but there's more slots, so it's kind of even out. So I think it's going to be the same difficulty. So I think what's going to be what's going to make or break the whole thing is having a robot that does well in playoffs and gains many advancement points, and also being a very strong Inspire contender. Just I feel like just qualifying for like going Inspire second or Inspire if you get Inspire second or third, and you have you're like if you're like the winning alliance, sorry, not winning alliance, but like the alliance that lose to the winning alliance, you get to finalist alliance. You might as well qualify for worlds just from just from the
Mhm.
advancement points you get from those. So it's like a lot more strategy based, and because of that, teams have to decide. Okay, I can't just only do robot, right? I also have to properly do outreach events. I have to make an impact and help the whole place. So I think what's gonna make or break this whole season and like the seasons to come because of the system is outreach or awards.
Yeah, it's really important to have a balance because actually we experienced our latest qualifier. The team that got winning alliance captain actually didn't qualify for regionals, so that
Oh,
was like pretty concerning because they didn't balance out their outreach and their like robot. So yeah, it's really
yeah,
important to have a balance. Yeah.
that's another aspect that like when the advancement points came out in the beginning of the year, it felt like interesting, like the weightage that they put on each award, where like Inspire One, obviously, like you need to make sure that the Inspire One team has to advance. So the 60 points, like,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense, as well as the 40 points for the winning lines captain. But then
Yeah.
when it came to all the other awards, it almost felt like so clunked up and just sort of like muddled together, where like Inspired 3 has almost equal weightage to like winning a standard award. So
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I'd say, and the part that like it's kind of like upsetting is that if you win a regular award, right? You're like at least as far as I've seen in first, no team has won 2 awards. Like you're able to double qual, like you're able to get Inspire, you're able to get like winning alliance team captain and like an award. Like those like that's possible. But I've never seen 2 teams get like both connect and like reach. I've never
Yeah.
seen that happen.
yeah,
I feel like that kind of like it kind of like makes it harder for teams to qualify if they're not as strong of an
Hmm.
Inspire contender.
Hmm.
So teams definitely have to like no matter what. I think we've always seen like I feel like the stereotype in first itself is like these teams are Inspire contenders, these teams are robot contenders, these teams are just busy bots, right?
Hmm.
I think the big step up is that all teams need to be both robot and Inspire contenders to even do well in this season and to advance.
Yeah, that's a big shift from previous seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, this even like gives our GFIC conference also offers like outreach opportunities to all of the teams that are like mentoring or like yeah, so they can include that when they're talking to the judges and say we helped out several teams.
But I think the one of the best parts about that came out of this conference is it makes the advancement a lot less volatile. When it came to like all the robot stuff last year, like there would be like the first rank alliance team, and then they go into playoffs and something goes wrong, right? And they don't make it to the finals. Whereas now you still like being the first rank alliance team, getting like rank one after quals, all of that adds up into your final score. And so it gets to the point where like even if you have those hiccups in the playoffs or the elimination matches, you can still have an opportunity to qual. And I think that's super important because I know I remember a team last year. Um, Florida, we have like a couple of like world ranked teams in terms of robot and their OPRs. And I remember in the final match, unfortunately, something went wrong with their side system, and they just weren't able to play at the level that they wanted to in the match, and that cost them like their bid to Worlds. And so seeing teams like that where they have those like unfortunate hiccups in the end, being able to go to Worlds is a great aspect.
Yeah. I think a big part, which I like, at least what I don't like this year, is that like many teams are starting to like they're kind of starting to use the same outreach, right? At least like this is not like really like a this season in general. Like it's kind of like what's happens as like the years go down, right? Like the outreach starts to like water down, in which like some events that have won like regionals or something like that, they're starting to get like spread out, in which teams aren't having unique outreach anymore. It's just like all the same outreach, right? You kind of get what I
Yeah.
mean. I feel like that's kind of it's not like upsetting, but I feel like because it's good that there's more events, right? Of course, like it's great that we're including more people, but I think the fact that there's not as many like there's not uniqueness, there's nothing like unique about the events. It's kind of it makes it kind of like boring in a way. So I feel like the more unique events, that would be really great to see.
Yeah, I think that's something that teams are gonna have to sort of think about is that with like the increase in Inspire competitiveness with like the new award systems and everything, there's gonna be some sort of event fatigue in terms of what they're gonna do. And so I'm honestly just excited to see what unique ideas teams are gonna come up with um to sort of like just new and creative ideas that we haven't seen before. Because I know
Yeah,
even with the event fatigue, like there to some extent there's some is already some event fatigue in FTC, but every year at Worlds you always see this like one team who has the unique idea and then they end up being the one who wins Inspire.
yeah, I love
Um,
seeing that.
so it'll be interesting to see what team comes up with that idea this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I think kind of moving away from that outreach perspective, the sustain award has become like a big thing as well this year, especially with the split of Motivate. So like one thing in the sustain award is the financial sustainability and making sure that your team is sustainable for years to come after you've graduated as well. So I guess what's your take on like making sure you guys have that financial and team sustainability?
yeah. So at least for financial stability, I think we have a good process. So our business lead, what she does is she assigns for us to look through like spreadsheets of FTC like grants, right? Grants that are often given to FTC teams, and just like people she has like a personal contact to and stuff like that. Because what we've noticed is that most FTC teams, they get grants or like they get money from thing like from people that they personally know, right? Like whenever team's sponsored by Google or something, usually a parent is the one that works there, right? So we realized that it's kind of like in a way it's kind of unfair. That's like of course like some parents would be working at like Google, and like some like if somebody's parents doesn't work at Google, like it's a big difference in sponsorship, right? So it's a big difference in money. So we try to at least go for like the bigger names or like actual like companies that none of our parents work at. Like I think like 2 years ago or something, we were able to score Lockheed Martin, which was crazy and like we were like very happy about that. So we tried to go for very different sorts of like companies in which it's like unique enough that not any other teams have it. Because if you see many teams have like Google and stuff, right? It's quite a common. It's become a common sponsor. We try to go for more unique companies that do different stuff, like I mentioned, Lockheed Martin. And we like this grant process goes on for like around 2 months at a time because not all businesses don't give grants constantly, right? They either give it in like the beginning of the year or like they give it in different periods of time in whichever block. So our whole business team, we kind of like we do it in like blocks. Like we do in this period of time, we do 50 applications, and the second period of time we do another 50 applications. I feel like that system's very productive and it works very well. So we're able to be like financially stable, and for our team itself, we're able to like sustain on to the future by always like having such a large team, right? Having 15 members on a team, maxing it out, it's a good thing because we're able to attempt so many things, right? Because we have such a large team, we have so many people to work on ideas and attempt so many things. We have such high standards for ourselves that we think, okay, we if we think we can't do this, we realize we have so many people. There's no way we can't do it, right? We never think we can't, but we always think, why can't we? So we always keep adding on to what already exists. And additionally, we have like a rolling system in which like you get in your freshman year usually. So freshmen they get in, and then for that full year they stay a member of the team, right? And then sophomore year they're either given a minor captain position, right? Or they just stay a member. And then junior year, that's when most of them get a captain's position. And then senior year, all of us are senior advisors. So like because it's college apps and everything, so everybody kind of takes a step back and they see what their junior members are able to do, right? Because everybody on the team is able to stay for 3 years, like 2 years before the current juniors would become seniors, right? So with their 2 year experience, we would be teaching them CAD over the break. We would be teaching them code over the break, and this system keeps it so that they're able to be knowledgeable. And this is very effective for us. In which, like this year, all of our senior members they took a big step back for their own college applications, and I think we've done wonderfully and continued properly thanks to their mentoring prior.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool process as well. Like we do, like it's good to have a system that works that allows you to make sure your members are still getting, trained, they're still getting properly mentored, and they're still learning new information, but also a system that allows, the people who've been on the team for a long time to kind of take that, supervisory role and kind of teach their own knowledge to, the generation that's gonna, fill their spots, fill their shoes. And I think that's a really big thing. Like we have something kind of similar to that where, we have team members, we try to, take them from um, you know, a, s- like a spread amount of grades so that we have, sustainability throughout like various years. So, like if we have a lot of members graduating, we'll try to pre-plan that and recruit from a certain age group or a certain grade level to, allow us to have that time to train them to make sure that they are able to, understand what FTC is because it's not something that you can, just learn overnight. It definitely takes a lot of time and effort to, understand a lot of those key concepts, especially with, programming and, building. So I think it's, a very big reason to, implement these types of programs to, shape, the future of your team.
Yeah,
Do you
definitely.
guys only recruit from high school?
Um, from our high school, yes. We've been thinking of opening it up, right?
Hmm.
Because it just allows for students to have more developmental years, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. Like we've noticed on other teams, like in our area, there's one team, Terabats. They do like from middle school itself, and there's dudes on the team that have been on the team for like 7 years,
Mhm.
and I feel like that's also like very good. And these dudes are like these people are some of the smartest people you've ever met. So we definitely consider that. But right now we've just been running off of high school and currently just our high school.
Okay.
Like we haven't been opening it up to other high schools because we always have concerns about attendance, right? If
Mhm.
it's not our local high school, it kind of it makes it so other people can't really like if people are not close by, they don't really come, and that's like we're kind of worried about that. So I think we might open it up to like our local middle school,
Mhm.
but I don't think we'd be opening up to any other like high schools anytime soon.
Do you guys are you guys a school-based team or community?
So we are a community based team, but we just recruit from our school
Yeah.
because we found that it's effective this way because like as a community based team, we get we're able to like have our own resources, right? That we wouldn't be allowed to have in school. Like if we were in school, we'd have to have a school advisor be there at all times. And I feel like because FTC is so like unpredictable, right? You never know what you need to fix and what times you need to be there. I feel like because of that, we kind of had to be at be a community based team. So currently,
Yeah.
it's located at my house. So this allows for me to have like a lot of freedom in when I want to work on the robot, when I can arrange meetings and stuff like that. So yeah, community based being a community based team is definitely great for, and I feel like at least for us, it's been kind of better because our school wasn't giving us much like money or grants opportunities. Like in other high schools, I've noticed that schools have been giving like lots of funding to the teams themselves, but we've noticed that we haven't been getting that, and for that reason too, we've decided to move away to a community team.
But what about you guys? Do you guys get funding from your school?
We're also a
Yeah,
community-based team, and so we
Oh,
have
you're
a
also
similar
community team. Okay, okay.
process to you guys. Um, we're just like we do recruit out of we don't like really restrict ourselves to our school.
Hmm.
So in terms of how we like look for members, we mainly just look at the ages of the kids and then try to replenish that. So we usually recruit kids like in seventh or eighth grade, like
Oh,
in by latest ninth grade. And so like I joined the team when I was in seventh grade and now I'm a junior. So giving I had it like the first 2 years on the team, I basically just gathered all the knowledge I could from the senior members, and then by the time I was in ninth grade, I became the build lead.
yeah.
So I think that system has been working for us really well. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like I think it might also do with our area as well for like recruiting from various different schools because like for us there's a lot of like we have like two or three local high schools near us, so we're able to have that versatility and be able to recruit from not just our own high school but from other high schools as well and still have members attend meetings consistently. Same with our middle schools and elementary schools as well. We have a bigger area around here where we can go to various elementary schools, teach robotics as well as for middle schools for recruiting purposes. We can recruit from various different middle schools. Um, yeah, I think like
Yeah.
the biggest thing about being a community-based team though is I think the funding. Because one thing that
Mhm.
we find is that a lot of school-based teams are able to at least get a little bit of funding from their school. It might not be a lot, but when you're a community-based team, you're basically starting on ground zero. You don't start off, they don't give you like a starter kit or anything. You don't start off with like, any type of like, funding or sponsors. So you have to find that all yourself. And I think that's a really big thing, but it's also a big like, skill to learn, how to reach out to those sponsors, how to make those connections with mentors and, being able to grow on your own.
Yeah, I think like in FTC like obviously funding is really important because I like had experience where I was on my previous team and we had to pay like I had to pay like $1,100 because we weren't able to get the grants. We weren't able to like receive money from practically anything. So it could like if you don't get funds then it's less possible to be more competitive. Um and it could be like almost like disastrous for the like for getting parts and stuff, you know?
Yeah, it also like hires the like the amount that each of the individual members of the team would have to pay, which is kind of like it's kind of like unjust in a way. I think that some teams they're able to pay like such little money because their schools have like their schools have so much funding itself that they give them so much funding, while other teams they don't, and it makes it harder for people to even join teams in that case because they might see, okay, I think there's no sorts of financial aid for it because it's like a local robotics team, right? They don't
Mhm.
really give financial aid, so it makes it harder for us to even introduce people to first at that point because like they might realize, okay, like I really like this but I'm not able to join it. I think that's really unfortunate. So
Yeah, so our business team works really hard like before the season and during like breaks and stuff to like make sure we don't get into that kind of situation.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a big thing as well, is giving the people the ability to do robotics. I think it's a, you know, I think we've all been fortunate enough to, been able to be introduced to robotics and, understand what we're doing, and have a passion for it. And I think it's, a little bit unfortunate that some people can't join because of that money aspect. And I do wish, programs like, FTC and especially like, FRC as well, with having such high like, cost margins, it makes people, you know unable to join sometimes, due to that cost. And I think there should definitely be a way to find a way to reduce that at an easier rate rather than being rejected so many times from different grants or whatever. So
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Do you guys have any final questions for us? 'Cause I think we'll be wrapping up here shortly.
But
uh
yeah, what do you guys do for your funding?
So we've been lucky enough to well, we're a seventh year team now, so we've been lucky enough to have been established, an established team now. But in our prior days of becoming an FTC team, we were prior in we were an FLL team beforehand. So
Yeah.
I mean, this goes back to through parent connections. We've been able to meet groups of engineers and groups of community members and organizations and businesses who want to give back. So a lot of like philanthropy through a lot of different organizations. We've been graciously been able to work with a lot of our sponsors over the years to kind of build the connection and gain a little bit more money from them each year, which has really kept us going every year with our robot and our outreach funding and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's also like important to make that connect with your community. We go to a lot of local businesses and try to organize stuff with them, organize presentations, um, and kind of get allow them to understand what robotics is as well, and hopefully we get something out of it as well. And if not, we at least have made that impact in them, um, one way or another.
yeah, that's great. I have one question about like your guys' actual robot. How have you guys' like robot been going? Like how's your season been going so far?
Yeah, so far we've had two meets.
Oh, you guys are going leagues.
And huh?
So,
You guys are going league meet way.
Yeah, we have a league meet system, and then we'll have our championship the first week of February. And so right now it's been like we have a spindexer design for our robot, and so there was a few issues that we had in terms of the transfer because the way we laid out our robot. Um, but other than that, it's been going pretty well. We had second place after quals meet one. And one thing that we noticed is like it's the penalties are just such it's like
yeah.
there's so many and they're so prevalent. And so, like most like especially when touching the gate, that penalty specifically, I feel like it overinflates some stats in terms of like teams
Yeah,
rankings.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we noticed is the rank one team in two of their matches, someone touched their gate. And so not only does it like give them a bunch of penalty points going in like for to win that match, but it also gave them the pattern points um
Yeah.
to get that extra ranking point. And I feel like that aspect of it is sort of weird because like yeah, obviously, penalties they're unfortunate, but it's almost inflating stats that shouldn't be there when
yeah,
it's just like careless mistakes made by the other team.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we're
Which has
looking to
happened to us a
make
few
some
times.
improvements for Meet 3 and Chance Robot.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean that's all the questions I have. Arne, if you have any additional questions.
Just one final thing. What piece of advice would you give to rookie teams who are just starting off?
Okay,
Um,
yeah. I have a very good like I'm talking to many rookie teams. I have good experience with this. But first, an FTC gives you as much as you put in. If you don't put in as much effort, you're not going to get as much out. Even if your team is succeeding as a whole, if you as a single person are not learning or contributing to your team as much, you are not going to get out as much. You are not going to learn as much, and that's gonna really affect you as I think affect you overall, because you may think that you're very experienced and stuff, but if you're not able to put in the hours and the blood, sweat, and tears into FTC or any sort of robotics, you're not gonna reap the riches of it. So if you want to get better and actually learn, be able to put in as much as you want. Yeah, I think that's basically it.
That was some great words. Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
All
Yeah,
right, thanks so much.
thank you so much for,
Yeah,
spending the time to talk to us. We had a really great time talking to you guys. Good
yeah,
luck on the rest of your season.
Yeah,
And hopefully we get to see you guys, in person, hopefully at Worlds. Hopefully
yeah,
we both make it. So,
yeah.
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 It
Thank you
was
guys
great
so
talking to you.
much.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.